The strange but true stories featured on this podcast contain details some people may find unsettling. Listener discretion is advised. I'm Chyaz Samuel, and things are about to get weird. Hello there, welcome back to another edition of Weird Fix, our second mini episode in a row, which I know is a bit unusual. I'm currently in the middle of one of the busiest few weeks I can ever remember, and my normal schedule has gone completely out of the window. So just as a bit of an update, we'll have a Weird Fix today, then I'm taking a week off, and then I'll be back with a brand new full episode, either on the 15th of July or a day or so afterwards. But today I have some bite-sized weird tales to share with you, and if I may say so myself, I think these are extra fascinating. So all of that housekeeping out of the way, let's get started. First up today, I stumbled across something incredibly niche yet utterly compelling that I just had to tell you about, and it concerns the absolute musical legend that is Kate Bush. I was scrolling around the internet and spotted a headline referencing an encounter she had during the 1980s that very much sounds like it involved a UFO, although Kate didn't describe it in those terms. So naturally, I was captivated and I started to try and verify the information. After doing some digging, I managed to trace the claim back to a newsletter that Kate had written back in 1981, which was sent out to the Kate Bush Club on a regular basis. There's a fabulous blog called The World of Kate Bush, which actually has all of the pages of the newsletters uploaded in digital form. And lo and behold, there was the story, in Kate's own words. So, during the run-up to Christmas that year, Kate explained that she felt a real need to get out of London and take a break from being cooped up in recording studios, and the place she felt drawn to visit was Scotland. She says that the plan was driven by her desire to, quote, visit the Loch Ness monster, which just makes me love her so much. This is pretty much how I like to plan my own holidays too, and here's what she describes happening next. Quote, just as it was getting dark one evening, we pulled up by a sign at the edge of the road. It told of a fort from the 5th century BC, the ruins of which were in the heather-thick field beyond the sign. It also mentioned a phantom battle which had supposedly taken place very near to the site. As we were about to drive away, I noticed 3 lights in the sky descending in a diagonal line. Then they formed a horizontal line and remained static just below a layer of cloud. There were huge circular orange lights, and we set off in the car in hot pursuit. We thought maybe they were some kind of stadium lights, but they were too near to the clouds, and we had never seen aircraft with such big lights, nor that colour. As we turned a bend, we could no longer see them, but kept our eyes pinned on the sky. A few minutes later, they came into view again, and this time we could see that they were completely unattached to any form of structure on the ground, and now there were only 2 lights. They remained stationary until we lost them a little while later for good. All the way back to the hotel, our heads were pointed out of the windows in anticipation of another sighting, and we wondered if, instead of finding Nessie on our search, we had found another strange phenomenon. What do you think? Well, Kate Bush, in answer to your question, I think anything is possible. I absolutely had to look up whether there have been many other apparent UFO sightings in the Loch Ness area, and there definitely have. I found reports from as far back as 1971 and as recently as 2011 and 2015, which all detail people having seen strange objects, either flying above Loch Ness or actually even landing on the water. in the case of the 2011 sighting. And given that these encounters happened either side of Kate describing what she saw, I think we can add 1981 to the list of years where something notably odd has been spotted in the sky, in this area of Scotland already famous for its apparent otherworldly activity. I tried to find examples of times where Kate has spoken about this incident in the years since, and as she's known for staying out of the spotlight and keeping things to herself, I couldn't uncover anything. But now that I've got her newsletters to refer to, I can see myself having a good look through them all to see if there's anything else of the weird and wonderful nature to discover within them. Next up, this is one of those strange news stories that made me do a triple take when I saw the headline, and I think you'll see why. This is what it read. I saw this in The Independent. Quote, T-Rex leather handbag made with collagen from dinosaur fossil goes up for auction. So let me explain. 25 years ago, in the US state of Montana, the remains of what's believed to have been a Tyrannosaurus rex were discovered. And whilst this was obviously a very exciting find in itself, the discovery was set to take on a form way beyond what you might expect to see in something like a museum. A team led by Che Connon, professor of tissue engineering at Newcastle University here in the UK, decided to try and do something utterly bizarre yet strangely fascinating. And bear with me here because, as you know, I am no scientist. But from what I understand, working together with all kinds of biotechnology companies, Che managed to harvest the T-Rex's DNA, conduct analyses on it, insert it into an unknown animal's cells in order to produce collagen, and then turn that collagen into skin, which was then subsequently turned into leather. I'm sure anyone with a more scientific mind than me listening today will be shaking their head at how much I've stripped that process down, but it's the best way that I could find to explain it. The end result is that the leather was then turned into a handbag, which looks like a rectangular clutch with some zips incorporated into it. And this is the piece that was recently put up for auction at Gikello in Paris. How much do you think the asking price was for this unique fashion accessory? Bear in mind that there's absolutely no precedent for this. Something like this has never been created before, so it must have been tricky for the auctioneers to price it up. But the figure they landed on was between 300,000 and €500,000, with an estimation that it could end up selling for anything up to 700,000 or 800,000. However, when the bag went under the hammer on the 11th of June, it actually failed to reach its projected price threshold, only attracting bids of up to around 150,000, and as a result, it remains unsold. And I think one of the possible reasons for this is because some people are more than skeptical about how authentic we can really say the bag is. Whilst the head auctioneer described it as, quote, a mix between a dream, a scientific reality, and a bit of grand fantasy, but an absolutely serious fantasy, others see it as much more of a gimmick, way too far removed from being a true T-Rex leather to have really earned the title. I don't know how to feel about this one. On one hand, it's quite amazing and very creative, but it also feels a bit like Frankenstein meets Jurassic Park, which makes me feel a bit odd about the whole thing. At the moment, I can't find any information suggesting that the bag is going to be re-auctioned, so I think we'll have to watch this space. But it leaves me posing a question I never thought I'd utter on the podcast, or at any time in my life really. How do you feel about the concept of Tyrannosaurus Rex leather goods? Finally for today, it's time for our weird little fact. fact. So if you're listening to this as it comes out, you'll know that we've just been through a wild heatwave in the UK and in other countries around Europe too. And the other day, I looked down at my hands and noticed that the gel manicure I just did a few days ago had already grown out so much in a relatively short time. So I did a little internet search and found an interesting mini fact. Did you know that our fingernails do actually grow faster in warmer weather? At least according to some studies. There is still some debate about it, but anecdotally, I've definitely noticed it myself. Experts think that this could be down to increased blood flow in the body when it's hotter, but again, the research isn't completely conclusive. Weirdly though, there are times when the opposite can happen. For example, a few years back, I broke my wrist, and whilst it was healing, my nails stopped growing altogether for weeks, and it was honestly so strange it felt like time was standing still. But on the plus side, it meant my manicure looked really fresh for a very long time. A massive thank you for joining me today for Weird Fix. I really hope you enjoyed hearing about all of these mini strange but true stories. I'll be popping links to all of the sources I used when putting together today's mini episode in the show notes, along with our social media links too. Please feel free to get in touch with all of your comments, thoughts and reactions to these stories. I always love to keep these conversations going. As I say, I'll be back with a full episode in a couple of weeks after my scheduled break. But in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll speak to you all again very soon. So until next time, take care of yourself and others and keep it weird, but the good kind of weird.